are we doing today? So first off, welcome to our daily wrap-up of financial news. If you don't know, we do daily updates on this channel. I get my cup of coffee, read a bunch of news, take a lot of notes, and sort of share my thoughts with you. If you've watched a few of these, you keep watching them, do me a favor, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, ask a question, share an article that you think I should read. The more, the better. And do me a favor, let's grow this channel. And if you have other Facebook groups or social media folks that like to think and talk about investing, finance, real estate, share this channel with them, and let's see if we can't explode the growth. With that said, let's get on with the daily topics. First off, I think let's talk first about UAW and General Motors. I called it. I think it was Friday where I was saying a lot of things are going the right direction. I did indicate that it wouldn't surprise me if a deal was struck by the weekend. It obviously wasn't, but we have more and more good news coming. It looks like there was a lot of progress over the weekend, and the UAW has called a meeting of, the top muckety mucks in the union for Thursday. Uh, they need these folks to, approve, ratify, whatever you want to call that, any agreement. So a couple of things. First, clearly more work to do. Otherwise, they would have done something over the phone or a conference call or something if it was a no-brainer. There's still 48 hours between now and then for either A, more negotiations, or B, something to get thrown in the works. Again, this will be going over a month by the time Thursday rolls around. I certainly believe, the people on the front lines are tired. They've been getting strike pay for a little while now. It was just increased from a whopping 250 a month to 275, or I'm sorry, 250 a week, or to 275 a week. Not not a lot of money if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Rent's due. It's been a full month. Got to pay food. Got to pay groceries. Your cell phones. All that stuff. It's got to be rough. Also, it's rough for GM, right? By some accounts, they're losing $90 million a day. That's a big deal, right? We're coming up on what, 33, 34 days by the time it gets here. That's over $2 billion. So it's got to hurt for General Motors as well. So, um, once the CEO got in the room, made some progress, increased investments in plants and the like. I certainly hope this comes to an end by the end of the week for everybody, for the UAW workers, for GM, for frankly the central part of our country, which has to be rippling all that manufacturing stuff. So let's hope the UAW thing ends by Friday, right? Let's just get on with ourselves and get back to making cars. That would be really cool. Staying on that topic of what we talked about Friday, it looks like the trade war is still holding together. I think there's a general understanding, like I said on Friday, that this first stage one or phase one that they were calling it was, let's just call it, not done yet. It didn't feel concrete Friday, and that's what I kind of shared with you. But the good news is it's now Tuesday, and nothing has come out of the woodworks to blow it up from either side. So it certainly feels like we are going to have that TV moment where both presidents, I don't know, get around a desk or whatever they do and sign something, probably on neutral ground, I would hope. So I'd like to see that. Let this get behind us. I bring that up because the IMF is just the latest quasi-independent organization to say that this trade war is causing the global economy to slow. It'll be the slowest on record since the financial crisis at just 3%. That's a global number. So um, you know, it's something to think about in context. Going back to the big earnings announcement, it's that time of the quarter where financial institutions are releasing their numbers. Most, led by J.P. Morgan, have had J.P. Morgan had a blowout quarter. I mean, like, awesome quarter. It's amazing how much these banks make. Making billions of dollars and 4 or 5, whatever it was, dollars a share. But they beat them across the board by significant margins. The one that missed right, that was disappointing was Goldman Sachs. Goldman was a miss. And when you dig into their numbers, it looks like their investing in lending side missed. I wonder what that's going to be about. Also, looks like they may have had some write downs from WeWork. This is obviously a company. Again, boy, we got this one right. We've been talking about now for 6 weeks since this daily updates have started, and you know it's not good, right? As I said yesterday, I think they're laying off 5,000 people or whatever it is, and that once unicorn Silicon Valley stock where employees were going to be millionaires evaporated. It's going to make a good Harvard business case one day, or a book. It's bad. Along those lines, there's actually an article on CNBC from a long-term Berkshire Hathaway um, shareholder, owned the stocks for decades. And if you don't know who Berkshire Hathaway is, don't feel bad. I didn't know for the longest time. Either it's Warren Buffett's company, it's the conglomerate, the umbrella company that when people say Warren Buffett, that's the company, right? That's the stock that's traded. And he accused Mr. Buffett of thumb sucking during the latest expansion. Basically, Berkshire's stock hasn't performed as well as the overall market since this bull market started. And specifically, this individual pointed at the large cash balance that's swelling. The last number I saw was $130 billion in cash. That's a lot of money. Um, to Buffett's credit, he has been looking to make an elephant-sized acquisition. Those are his words, not mine. However, prices are sky high. And I find this interesting on a couple of fronts. First off, my cash balance is as high as it's ever been. It's not even in the realm of any of this, but it's still true. And I'd love to make a larger acquisition, maybe apartment buildings, for example. But the same answer, the prices are sky high. Yes, deals are getting done, but I believe deals are getting done. I believe bad deals are getting done. I don't know how else to say it. I think people are overpaying. I think they have unrealistic expectations of employment, rent growth, management, vacancies. I've owned these kinds of assets before, and it's not as easy as a lot of these people think it is. So I agree with Warren. I'd rather sit on the cash than see it go up in smoke or add stress to my life managing another, apartment building through a recession. Oh, that's so painful. Um, but in the end, the other thing I got to say is it's kind of that's unfair to call Warren Buffett thumb sucking. What were you saying when he had a huge cash balance in 2006? Probably the same thing. What were you saying in 2008? Boy, you're a genius. Do you remember some of the deals that Buffett got? Didn't he get like 10% plus warrants from Goldman and 10% plus warrants from like Citigroup or something? He was cleaning up because he had cash. So, you know, yeah, you might not be happy with what's happened the last 10 years, but come on. When in doubt, I'd bet on Warren Buffett again. The only thing that I did not appreciate is, do you know how old he is? He's 89. He looks great for 89. First off, congratulations, Mr. Buffett, but um, 89. Um, unfortunately, he won't live forever. And 89, I just couldn't believe that when I read that this morning. So, in the end, you know, when in doubt, I say bet on Buffett. Yes, you may not be able to take advantage of the last end of the bull market, but he's been right too often for us to doubt him, frankly. And as long as his mental faculties are still there, I wouldn't bet against him. And near as I can tell, he's still all there. So I say shame on you, Mister Person who accused Warren Buffett of thumb sucking. Shame, shame, shame. The last thing to kind of talk about is actually two things. First, let's talk about an article I read about minimum wage. So the article I read about referenced Target, and Target had a plan to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2020, which was significantly above where the minimum wage was at the time, right? So they were leaning forward, if you will, and people applauded them, patted them on the back. Great, more companies should do this. All that stuff would come from the people that think that. Reality set in. Companies that raise the income or raise the wages, wages, sometimes have to cut hours. So, yes, Mr. Mrs. Employee, congratulations, your wage is now $15. Unfortunately, we've had to cut your hours 10 to 12 hours a week to afford it. So your net is less. Do you pay your landlord or your electricity on your hourly wage, or do you pay it on your net check? I always paid it on my net check, but maybe there's an exception in other parts of the country. So be careful what you wish for. We seem to have a lot of folks asking for sexy things in this upcoming election, but nobody's talking about the unintended consequences. When you see these highfalutin claims of doing this, and taxing that, do me a favor and ask, what would you do if that happened to you? Just like this minimum wage thing at Target. They've got to pay for it somewhere. They have to keep the lights on. So yes, they can raise it. Shoot, they could raise minimum wage to $100. They're going to cut hours, install a bunch of robots, and you're going to have less employees and less net checks. That's how it works, unfortunately. So if you're going to start taxing companies or start taxing net worth, people are going to leave. We are the greatest country in the world, sure, but we can live anywhere. So remember that. The law of unintended consequences is real. And just because you like the idea of taxing someone else, remember that someone else has a choice. They could take it or they could leave. Just remember that. And then the last thing I got, kind of on a positive note, there was an article, again, CNBC. I read CNBC, CNN Money, Bloomberg. Those are kind of my my internet flamed down. I apologize. That's never happened. Look at, hey Eric, good morning. I occasionally read Wall Street Journal, but I'm too cheap to pay for the online version, so I usually just read the headlines. But where I was going with this article is the number one habit of the rich, again, just according to this article, is who they associate with. And basically, it's that whole you're the collector. There's a slight twist on that. And that is the rich people associate with other rich people. And by rich, let's be clear, it's not money. Battery chargers. They push you, they hold you accountable. They want the best for you. You want the best for them. It's basically this positive force of good, the 360, everybody's helping everyone. So I would ask you to think about yourself. Who in your network is a battery drainer versus a battery charger? And at least in this article, the rich don't have any battery drainers, right? If they're there, they identified, they changed, they cut them out. They don't need them. They don't have time for them. They give you headaches and stress and all of these other things. So ask yourself that. Hi, Anya. Morning. Oh, you like these daily updates? Me too. I think they're fun. So again, remember you are the association of your network. So do yourself a favor. Over the next couple of days, figure out who those 5 people are and just ask, do they charge you up or do they drain you? And if they drain you, look at cutting these out or cutting them out. So that was one thing I thought was interesting is the rich don't settle. They don't suffer no fools, and they just they get after it. So at the end of the day, that's what I have. I do have an exciting interview coming up at about 8 o'clock my time that I hope to have posted by 11:30. You're really going to like this one. This guy was awesome. His name's Pace, Pace. I'll just let you watch it. It'll be up in a few hours. All right, everybody.